Hello and welcome to my mushroom farming videos. As you can see, my little babies have grown into children. So these are really blue and they're actually very pretty. I mean, if you look at them, that's surprisingly blue. Sometimes you get a paler blue, sometimes you get a less paler blue. I haven't found out why that happens yet. If you do know, please tell me. Then there is, I harvested these guys. If you remember from the last video, they were drooping. And I also harvested my kings. As you can see, I tried to basically remove all the dead tissue I could. You know if there's dead tissue and whether the mushroom's dead or alive, I think you'd know that. Yeah, if you see like residue, it's generally good to chop it off. I'm not exactly sure what to do with the dead tissue, so I kind of been leaving it next to the thing. I don't really know what to do with it. And the humidity's good. As I mentioned in the last video, it's humidity mushrooms need. You may be asking, what humidity? Well, it depends from each mushroom. The thing in here says about 99, but I think that's partially because it's in the perlite, and the perlite's what's storing it all. So I think it's probably more like 70, 80, I don't know. Which is really good for oyster mushrooms in particular. If you are growing your oyster mushrooms at home and you notice that they're not sprouting anymore, the log has turned to dirt, there is something you can do about that. I don't know how well it works. I've tried it and I don't know exactly if it's doing any good or not, but before I had my fruiting chamber, I had another oyster log, and it stopped fruiting because it had completely decomposed the log to dirt. So I got and sterilized some wood chips, and went ahead and kind of mixed the wood chips with the mushroom soil, and add some water, poke some holes in the bag. Yeah. So basically what you do, if you want some process, is the first thing I did was get out my supplies, which would be a plastic bag, wood chips, probably you're going to need a fork for when you poke holes, or a toothpick, whatever works. And I mean, you're going to want some distilled water. And then what you do, and you also are going to need the log. Don't throw away the log, because you're going to need that. And so what you do is you take the bag and you put the oyster dirt into the bag. Then you go ahead and put like the wood chips in a glass bowl or something and sterilize them by putting in a bit of water and steaming them basically until or boiling them or whatever until you think, okay, all bacteria and stuff should be dead by now. Because you do not want invader fungi. That is never good. Next thing you know, you go ahead and mix the sterilized chips with the oyster dirt in the bag and add a bit of distilled water, enough that you want, and probably and then just kind of seal it, kind of make it into an oyster sushi roll in a sense, and kind of close the Ziploc bag, get as much air out as you can, probably like make it pretty tight so that there's not too much air in there, because too much air would dry it out pretty fast. And then you're going to want to poke the holes with the fork or toothpick, whatever you got for that. And I used a plastic fork. And there you have it. You probably want to put it in your fruiting chamber, which I didn't do, and it's not sprouting. I think that's why it doesn't have enough humidity. If you know otherwise, please tell me, because I want to do the best I can to help these guys grow. Or if you know a way that's more effective as to how to grow these mushrooms, I'm open to suggestions. Yeah, these guys are doing pretty well. If you, I mean, they look pretty healthy. I don't know a whole bunch about what's terrible and what's not terrible, but like, you can generally tell there's no invader fungi on there. They're growing how they should. If you're concerned that the mushroom that appeared is not your mushroom, I'd recommend doing some research. I have had that problem before when this strange yellow mushroom appeared up on one of my logs. I'm like, wait, what's that? This is before I got my fruiting chamber stuff, and I'm like, this isn't my mushroom I got. And so my dad's like, oh, that's highly dangerous. And so, of course, that's kind of a problem sometimes. I don't know how exactly to solve it, but our guess was to isolate the area that the other mushroom that wasn't my one I was hoping to grow, isolate that, kind of cut it off. The problem is I don't really know where the mycelium has spread, because mycelium are tricky that way. They can spread thousands of places, and if there's even a little bit of her hint in that log still, who knows what could pop up. So, yeah, you want to watch out for that. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. If you have any questions for me, I'll try and answer them, or any recommendations, I'll do that too. Thank you, and bye.